Hi, my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is key 31 recursion loop / recursion underscore loop transcend open bracket expression creator dash being close bracket by Jason Gray. The original transmission date on this was 2025, June 7th. And as with all the other keys, he has been nudged to include quite a bit of information that you can see by going to the link that I have in the Show More section, and then by searching by title. I hope that it will come up for you. I tried to put these in the Show More section of the video, but they're too long, and YouTube wouldn't allow that. So there comes a point in the sequence where the loop stops feeling like something happening to you. It no longer feels like an external mechanism repeating events for reasons you cannot fully see, cannot fully control, and cannot seem to escape. It begins to reveal itself as something far more precise, not a trap, not a punishment, not a cycle designed to exhaust you into surrender. There was a lot of talk yesterday for me about surrender. I did a conscious conversation back in 2021 featuring my sister and my housemate and I, and we were speaking in regards to the topic of surrender. This has been one of the harder things for me personally, is the concept of surrender. I mean, I intend to republish that conversation. I just haven't done it yet. So back to Jason's writing. I'm going to read that last again. Not a cycle designed to exhaust you into surrender. It reveals itself as a structure that has been reflecting your position back to you with exactness the entire time. And what's coming for me in this moment of now is that one must have the eyes to see and the ears to hear in order to actually personally recognize that that is what's happening. For most of your life, recursion was experienced as repetition, the same emotional patterns resurfacing, the same relational dynamics forming under different names. Too true. The same internal thresholds appearing again just when you thought you had moved beyond them. That's something we've talked a lot about on this channel. It felt like being pulled back, like progress was an illusion, like something unseen was looping your reality without your consent. So naturally, resistance formed. A deep desire to escape, to break the cycle, to finally reach a place where nothing returned, where everything moved forward without echo. But what you were calling repetition was never simply repetition, it was feedback. It was a structure designed to show you where your state remained unchanged, even as your circumstances shifted. I personally, I can see that so very clearly now, but that is, I think, why I have said one must have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, because if you don't want to believe that this is the case, if you wish to remain in a victimhood perspective, then you won't see it or hear it for yourself. So I'll read that again. It was a structure designed to show you where your state remained unchanged, even as your circumstances shifted. Every return carried information. Every recurrence was a mirror with memory. It did not just reflect what was happening. It reflected who you were being inside what was happening. This is why the loop persisted, not because you were failing, but because you had not yet become different enough within yourself for the loop to lose its function. The loop does not measure time. It measures position, and until position changes, return continues. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That is the hidden law behind recursion. / recursion _ loop : transcend open bracket expression : creator being close bracket. The line is often misunderstood. Transcendence here does not mean leaving the loop behind, as if it were a place you could physically exit. It does not mean rising above reality in a way that separates you from it. It does not mean the disappearance of recurrence. It means something far more exact. You become something the loop can no longer define. The loop remains, but your relationship to it changes so completely that it no longer holds authority over your identity, your perception, or your movement. Before this point, your experience was largely reactive. Events appeared and you responded. Patterns returned and you adjusted. Emotions surfaced and you processed. Everything moved in a direction determined by what came into your field. Even awareness itself was often a response to what had already been activated. But when creator being begins to stabilize, the direction reverses. You are no longer primarily shaped by what appears. You begin shaping how what appears is experienced. Not through force, not through control, but through the stability of your presence. I actually see that. I actually feel that, but I didn't have the words that he's using here, but I can now feel exactly, and I can even see it in my own life where that those are true words. You begin shaping how what appears is experienced, not through force, not through control, but through the stability of your presence. The same pattern can return, but it does not land the same way. That's true. The same emotional structure can arise, but it does not carry the same weight. The same relational dynamic can attempt to form, but it does not find the same entry point within you. Nothing about the external structure has to change for everything about your experience of it to transform. And that's a true statement. This is also, to my estimation, why beings in your life, when one changes, at least this has been my experience, beings expect you to behave in a particular sort of way, the way you've always behaved. And when that doesn't happen, it can be very unsettling to some. And or if choices were made to keep you at arm's length, the tendency to think and feel that you are the same being that you've always been is also the case. At least that's been my experience. So I'm going to say that again. The same emotional structure can arise, but it doesn't carry the same weight. The same relational dynamic can attempt to form, but it does not find the same entry point within you. Nothing about the external structure has to change for everything about your experience of it to transform. That is the first sign that the loop is no longer binding. What you once called a loop begins to reveal its true form. It was never flat. It was never a closed circle. It was always a spiral. You simply could not see the vertical movement while you were still identified with the horizontal repetition. Each return was not taking you back to where you were. It was bringing you back to a similar position with a different level of awareness. But if awareness did not stabilize, the difference remained invisible. And that's true. Lisa and I have had many conversations on Conscious Conversation Central about just this type of thing, because it was something that we noticed as we were moving through our lives, the spiralness of it all, right? The same, to share how I was, wording it is I thought I dealt with that. I thought I had dealt with this issue, and here we go again. It's coming right back up to be dealt with. But I did notice that it wasn't the same intensity. It didn't carry the same density. It didn't produce the same emotional charge within me that it always had before. So, that's when we both saw it as a spiral rather than a circle. Each return was not taking you back to where you were. It was bringing you back to a similar position with a different level of awareness. But if awareness did not stabilize, the difference remained invisible. It felt like sameness. Now, as presence becomes more consistent, the distinction becomes undeniable. The same situation returns and you remain centered. The same trigger appears and you do not collapse into it. The same invitation to react arises and you do not accept it unconsciously. You are not suppressing, you are not avoiding, you are simply no longer organized by the same internal structure that once made the loop feel real. Yes, just noticing the loop is progress. At least it was for me, because I was like, wait a minute. And I used to say, but I discover it hiding underneath something in the back, like a dust bunny, sort of thing. This is where elevation becomes visible, not because the loop disappears, but because you no longer return to the same version of yourself inside it. There is a profound shift that occurs here that is often missed. The desire to end the loop begins to dissolve. This is not resignation. It is not giving up. It is the recognition that your freedom is no longer dependent on the loop's behavior. As long as you need the loop to stop in order to feel free, you are still bound by it. Your freedom is still conditional, but when you can remain in truth, while recurrence exists, the loop loses its ability to define your experience. You no longer resist it. You no longer chase its disappearance. You allow it. This allowance is not passive. It's sovereign. You are no longer at war with repetition because you are no longer at war. And because you are no longer at war, repetition loses its charge. The loop does not need to be destroyed. It becomes irrelevant. And quite frankly, it's actually, I find it too now, actually kind of useful for me, because I want to see all of me, every nook and cranny of my emotional life, my physical life, my intellectual life. I want to see, sense, feel every nook and cranny of it. I'm here. I might as well. I'm the one that planned this whole thing. So for me, it's very useful. And creator being emerges fully at this stage, not as identity, as function. You are no longer a character moving through events. You are a stable point of generation within a field that includes recurrence. What returns becomes material, not obstacle. You begin to see that the loop was never preventing creation. It was waiting for you to become stable enough to create through it. Ooh, and you could read that as your shadow. You could read that as anything you want that's recurrent. It was waiting for you to become stable enough to create through it. I would say along with it, even, as a point of focus and attention, even. Before this, repetition shaped you. Now, repetition becomes something you can shape your expression through. That's just what I said. This does not mean controlling outcomes. It means that your presence carries enough coherence that what returns does not automatically dictate what follows. There is space now. Space between stimulus and response. Space between appearance and meaning. Space where something new can emerge. That space is where creation actually happens. The loop continues to serve a function even here. It tests whether your realization is stable, not in a punitive way, in a structural way. It brings familiar patterns back into your field to see whether you will re-enter them as before or remain as you are now. It reveals whether your center is portable, whether your alignment holds under repetition, whether your truth is conditional or structural. This is why the loop does not appear immediately. It does not disappear immediately. It verifies, and once verification is complete, the loop either collapses or transforms. Either way, it no longer binds. At this stage, a deeper understanding begins to settle in. Not everything that repeats is yours to resolve. That's true too, had that happen. Not every loop that appears in your field requires your intervention. Some structures are still moving at a collective level. Some patterns are still being processed by others. You begin to discern where you are meant to engage and where you are meant to remain centered while the loop completes itself without your participation. This is maturity. You do not insert yourself into every recurrence. You do not take responsibility for every pattern you perceive. You do not make everything personal. You allow what is not yours to move without attaching identity to it. This further reduces the loop's hold because identification is one of its primary anchors. There is also a quiet softening that occurs, a recognition that recursion itself is not an enemy. It is part of the structure of reality. Without return, much would remain unseen. Without repetition, depth would not develop. Without echo, recognition would remain shallow. The loop was not designed to harm you. It was designed to show you yourself with increasing clarity until you could stand as that self without distortion. Once that happens, the loop is no longer required in the same way, but its existence is no longer threatening. You understand it. And because you understand it, you no longer need to fight it. The final shift is subtle but absolute. You no longer measure your progress by what stops happening. You measure it by who you are when it happens. The same pattern can return, and it no longer defines you. The same situation can arise, and it no longer determines your state. The same loop can exist, and it no longer contains you. You are no longer inside it as before. You are within it, but not defined by it. You are participating in reality, but not reduced to its repeating structures. You are stable, And that stability changes everything. You rise through the loop. You allow it to exist. / recursion _ loop transcend open bracket expression creator being close bracket. The loop did not need to end. You needed to become what it could no longer hold. Wow. I really feel like, although I noticed what this writing is talking about, and we've had conversations about it. I just love the way he words it here, and it has now become so clear for me that I totally recognize when loops appear, because they still do. And sometimes it's for me. I mean, it's always for me. And that's the beauty of it, I think, because now I welcome them. I welcome them because, again, I want to see all of me. I want to know where I'm still hiding things from myself. Because trust me, there's a lot of that goes on. And if beings are honest with themselves, and that's the main thing, if a being is honest with itself, there are loads of different things that we're hiding from ourselves. It's too painful. There's just so much that it's attached to that we just don't want to go there or whatever, right? And for me, I do want to go there. So thank you, Jason. This has been an excellent. And as I said, with all the keys, there are codes, both symbol codes, word codes, what looks like programming codes, at the beginning and at the end of every single one of these writings. And I highly recommend that you allow your eyes to move over them, because I personally feel as though I may not know what to call these symbols, but I like to allow my human eyes to move over them. And they are you can find the writings if you're not following Jason's writings, because I do not record these in the same order, really. The keys I am that he puts them out. My own inner guidance actually directs what I record and when. And so if you feel drawn to Jason's words, there's a link in the show more section of this video directly underneath in the description box, and you'll find all of his public writings there. And so, I highly recommend you can follow that page. You can follow him. His Facebook page is public. The reason for the Friends of Writer Jason Gray Facebook page is that Facebook did take him down once without any explanation or warning. It's happened to the best of us. This YouTube channel, as far as I know, could go the way of that at any moment, as I have had two others have that happen too. So be sure that you are subscribed to both channels, Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love. Until we meet again, my friends, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It is just a matter of your perspective and your perception of your present perspective. And I maintain that it's very possible that which brings you joy may actually be your mission on this planet. Because I don't know why, but that's just what I feel. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.